Hi, volleyball fans, and welcome back to Volley Talk, the podcast created for volleyball lovers who want to dig deep into what is going on in NCAA and international volleyball. I'm your host, Sarah Pavin. I'm an Olympian, beach volleyball world champion, former Nebraska Cornhusker, and longtime pro, both indoor and on the beach.
And I'm Adam Schultz, former indoor player, international volleyball coach, and the show's resident stat guy. I just wanted to remind everybody that you're here for us, and this is only about us, and it's just on our side.
Am I in a USA volleyball timeout?
Sorry, I had to do it.
I was pulling my hair out listening to those timeouts. It will be too soon if I ever have to listen to another one again. But look at Adam getting sassy. That's my job.
We'll talk about it later, but that one in particular was just, I was sitting on the couch.
My favorite was, hey guys, let's just have fun. What are we, 12U club?
Even playing time.
We're on one today.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
We are feeling some type of way today, and we are on one. So if you're not ready for this sass and spice,
come back tomorrow.
Anyway, that being said, we just finished up week 3 of the women's VNL competition, and the final 8 are set. We saw some really good volleyball. We saw some really bad, messy, ugly volleyball. But regardless, we watched all of it, and it was a ton of fun. So we've got the rundown for the week. We're excited to dive into our predictions for how the final 8 is going to go. So let's get started. We actually have a few highlights and happenings to talk about this week.
Give them to me. First
up, it was the U19 Girls World Championship this past week. Bulgaria beat USA in 4 to win their first ever gold medal.
Congrats to Bulgaria.
That's huge. And Poland beat Turkey 3-0 to win bronze. We won't talk about how our Canadians did.
Yay.
I think 18th. How many teams were there? 20?
24.
Oh, dear. But yeah, Bulgaria, USA, Poland were on the podium for that. A listener wrote in to tell us that they saw a post by Matt Anderson's wife letting everybody know that Matt Anderson is going to be competing or working towards LA 2028.
No, I think Matt Anderson is very good, but I have a serious question of, do you think that spot is just going to be given to him? Or do you think there is serious competition on the men's side for that spot?
I mean, he's going to be, what, 41 at that time? 42 maybe?
I'm not entirely sure how old he is right now currently.
I don't want to put limits on anybody. Age is just a number, you know? Based on what I've seen from the USA men's right sides, he's definitely still it. But time is not friendly. So we'll see.
Listen, I think he's an asset to the team, whether he ends up playing or not. Just being there, they're a young roster. He's done everything. He knows how to win. He's played everywhere. He'll be a great mentor for those guys. It's still a long ways away, and he has put on some miles in his life.
But how often does the opportunity to be in the Olympics in your home country present itself? Like, I feel like if you are curious about it and you still got some gas left, you do it, you know?
I think it's a great decision for him. I think the team will be lucky to have him. My question was solely around, what do you think his performance level in 2028 would be?
I cannot predict. He's still playing at a high level.
That's true.
So there's that. I love my secret informants, you guys. Okay, I absolutely love it, because here's another one. This news is also from a secret informant of mine. Carrie Walsh started a club, like a club volleyball team in San Francisco.
Like an NLV team?
That's what you would think, based on how spicy she was about major volleyball in, when was it, January? No. So that makes me like, what happened to MLV? You were like all on board literally yesterday. And now you're just starting a youth club? Like, hello.
Maybe she's doing two things at once.
Here's Adam trying to be a nice guy again. He's like, I reached my quota for spice. I'm back to nice guy. So also tied into that, another informant of mine. It's been a couple weeks, you know, so the gossip mill is churning, everybody. So one of our listeners is a season ticket holder for PVF for Omaha. Hasn't heard anything about seasons tickets or purchasing tickets or anything.
It's tough when you don't know where you're playing.
They wrote the person or the like ticket agency and stuff and was like, hey, at this time last year I had purchased my tickets, just wondering like when I can expect to do that or get the opportunity to do that again. And the response was, we're waiting on the new league before we do that. And so I'm like, the new league as in MLV, the new league as in is PVF changing, but I mean, nothing.
The time is ticking away. We went from all of that time. You have a year from January. You're at 6 months. People want to buy tickets. You have to. I would say there has to be some sort of announcement or movement by the end of August at the absolute latest. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Well, the other thing is like a bunch of PVF teams haven't even announced their rosters or anything, and apparently at this time last year they had. So I'm like, what is going on? Something's
nobody
fishy
knows
here.
Nobody knows.
Anyway, if you know anything, you know I want to know. So hit me up. This one actually pertains to what happened this past week. Unfortunately, Ana Cristina, the outside for Brazil, in their match against France, she went down with an injury, and it was later reported that she tore her medial meniscus. Let me tell you, I did that right before Olympic qualification last year. It was not fun.
It's not fun, but in terms of knee injuries, it might be the shortest recovery time as opposed to an MCL or an ACL or something of that nature.
I wonder if she just tore it because she looked like she could straighten her leg. So I wonder if she'll need to have surgery. Your girl here could not straighten her leg.
Needed surgery.
Bucket handle tear. Needed knee surgery. That timing was unfortunate, let me tell you.
Not great. Not great.
So, yeah, that's unfortunate. So hopefully she'll be okay. The recovery is straightforward. Luckily for Brazil, they're deep.
Yep.
They just picked right up, you know, and Bergman and Gabi took over. Bergman was playing opposite, came back to the left side. Rosa Maria, they've got everybody, so.
Yeah, it's really impressive, and I'll talk about this with Italy later in the episode, but when you can just, when your bench players are so good that you can move them in and out and not miss a beat and still keep chugging away, it's incredible, actually.
Obviously, a huge loss. Like, she's an outstanding
100%.
player. But if it were to happen to any team, Brazil's got that depth, you know? So those are the happenings this week. A little bit of gossip, a little bit of juice, and a little bit of relevant information. But we wanted to share it all. Okay, let's get into our VNL Week 3 recap. So Italy ended the preliminary round with a perfect 12-0 record. Undefeated. Okay. And they were followed closely by Brazil, who had 11 wins.
Losing only to Italy.
Correct.
I thought that Italy's record was going to be in jeopardy at one point during the Turkey A match. And I think we'll talk about this one later because it was my favorite match of the week.
Well, we don't even have to do that segment now. Adam already gave it away. Just kidding.
I know you had another one, but that was a good game. I like when teams have streaks like this. It's fun to watch them play. You know, they're not necessarily playing for anything, but you see them still compete. They want to hold their undefeated
they're at
record.
26 wins in a row now as a team.
Yeah,
you got to keep it going now as long as you can.
Watching what they're doing is impressive.
Yeah.
We were a little harsh on Serbia, and I think rightly so over the last 2 weeks.
100% it was rightly so. They were bagelled up until this point.
They managed to win 3 of 4 this week. They had to pull Boskovic out of whatever vacation or retirement she was in, or injury. Was she injured? Because they could not figure it out without her. But she showed up.
And Uzelac showed up too.
Yeah. So she showed up. Uzelac showed up. They went 3 for 4. They will not be relegated. They actually looked pretty good.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but like they beat Turkey in their final match 3-0. So that was a nice cap to VNL.
So I'm curious to see what they look like at Worlds, because I think that will be, I mean, this was not the Serbia we expected. They should have been better without her, but it seemed as soon as she came back, everybody elevated their game around her, and they were a completely different team.
Got those 3 wins, save themselves. Easy peasy. But speaking of Turkey, they had a very rough week.
Not the best.
They went 1-3. So they beat Netherlands 3-0, and then they lost to Czech, Italy, and Serbia. But they did set a VNL record for the worst beatdown in a set ever.
That game was hard to watch.
25-4. They beat Czech Republic in a set. They still lost like in 4, but that one set, they're like, don't forget.
But this is my issue with Turkey, is the inconsistency. Like, how do you play so well that you can win 25-4 and then you can't figure it out after that? Like, it's kind of bewildering, quite frankly.
I will say the young right side that they interviewed after that match for the Czech Republic was like hyperventilating. She was so excited. I thought she was going to pass out during the interview. I'm like,
I mean,
whoa.
that's the win of the century for the Czechs.
Yeah, 100%.
And rightly so, they should celebrate. That's a huge win for them. We talked about relegation, and I actually made an error last week. I thought 2 teams were relegated.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. But it was only 1.
I didn't know that he thought that. I thought he was just running through options, and I was like, okay. And then he told me after, and I was like, wow.
It made sense to me that 2 teams out of the number of teams playing would be relegated, but it's only 1. So that being said, Korea was relegated. They did not pull out a win, although they were close to beating Bulgaria, I believe.
Yeah.
And that would have thrown a wrench into Canada's plans, who ended up winning, so it didn't really matter. But they would have been out of sight of Thailand. So there was a lot of movement and a lot of tenseness around a couple of the matches in terms of relegation. But Korea is going down, and we'll wait and see who's coming up for next year.
But even though the final 8 was set pretty much like going into the last day of competition, like everybody kind of knew who the top 8 were, the battle for relegation came down to one of the last matches on Sunday. Like, Thailand was at the very bottom going into their match against Canada on Sunday. Korea was obviously 1 spot ahead of them. They both had 1 win, and they both had 5 points. So going into that match, Thailand literally just needed to win 2 sets. Okay? They won the first set against Canada. Then Canada comes back and wins the next 2. So you're just like, is Thailand going to pull this off or not? Like, they just have to win 1 set. Set 4 went the distance. And as soon as they won set 4, it was like,
party on the court.
Oh my gosh. But that was like tense, because you're watching, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want this team to get relegated. That's so sad. But then it's like, Canada, geez, you haven't won a match since week 1. Like, are you going to do this? Are you going to give it to, like, what is happening here? Like, I mean, that relegation battle was exciting.
Volleyball World and VNL have to be happy Thailand is still in it, because they bring a massive viewership.
Oh, 100%. You know, when you log in to VBTV and like the Thai matches, they have Thai language and then English, you know they are getting those Thai subscribers. So they're like, thank you so much. We will maintain a VBTV core audience. Membership now.
Yeah,
Couple things, couple matches, teams to kind of touch on here. But when all said and done, the final 8 are, however you want to do it, Italy, Brazil, Japan, Poland, China, Turkey, Germany, USA. We will dive in a little later into how we think the final 8 is going to play out, but that was our little summary key takeaways of the week. What was your favorite match of the week?
I alluded to this earlier, but I really enjoyed watching the Italy-Turkey match.
Why? I mean, I enjoyed it too, but, you know.
So there's a couple things. I find Turkey a fascinating team. They are incredibly physical. When everybody is playing well on Turkey, they're literally unstoppable, and they're so much fun to watch. But they just can't figure it out yet in terms of being consistent, and specifically they seem to come and go as Kara Kurt. Some emotions come and go, whether she's frustrated, whether she's playing well, whether she's bringing energy. And so it's fascinating to watch how that pendulum swings, like even within matches or even within stretches of points. And then you have them playing Italy, they're just so talented. But the thing that impresses me the most is how much of a team they are, right? Their team defense is unbelievable. They're so disciplined. And the depth that they have, you know, when Aganu is a little disconnected from the match or not playing super well, they have Antropova, who can come in and arguably might be one of the top 5 opposites in the world on the bench for them, right? And then on the left side, they have like 2 legitimate options that can come in if they need to move pieces around. And quite frankly, they did against Turkey. They needed to bring in those other players, and they sub in seamlessly. They fit within the system. That is incredible volleyball that Italy plays. So to watch them play a super emotional Turkey team that comes as super high and then super low, it was a 5-setter. There were emotions back and forth. I just found the whole dynamic of that match incredible to watch. I couldn't stop.
No, Italy's definitely plug and play for sure. And the level of consistency that they're able to maintain while doing so is what makes them so dangerous, I think. But yeah, Turkey had moments of absolute brilliance in that match, and then moments where I was scratching my head.
Well, and you look at the difference between, let's say, Turkey and Italy. Turkey's top players have to play well because they don't really have other options. Like, who is coming in from Vargas, for Vargas? The drop-off is significant. When they have some other very good left sides who can pass well, who are solid volleyball players, but they don't have another offensive threat if Karakur is not on the floor. And so when she has to come off, you lose some of that offensive ability, and then teams key on Vargas and make her life more difficult. So they have to find a way, or Karakurt has to find a way to keep her highs if she can, but manage her lows and stay on the court and be a threat, not make 3 errors in a row, but they're fun to watch.
Do you want to know my favorite match?
Hit me.
I enjoyed the Canada-Thailand match simply for the relegation intrigue factor.
For the drama. Sarah loves the drama.
I loved the drama. I wanted to be like, can Thailand find a way, to win 2 sets? Was it the greatest match of all time? No, but from an excitement, like anticipation factor, I like that one. But the other one that like legit I enjoyed just for itself was Germany versus China.
Oh, that was a very good game.
Reverse sweep. China was the team of the reverse sweep this week.
They just don't disappear. And don't forget, that's a hybrid, like U21 team, like junior national team.
Yeah, a lot of these girls are playing for like U20 club teams.
and you would not be able to tell from their level of volleyball. It's absurdly impressive.
Now, did China play their best in the first 2 sets? No. But I find it so impressive the way that they are able to keep going, especially at such a young age. They just keep grinding. They keep fighting. They just don't give up. And the adjustments they're able to make, particularly with how young they are, their middle, their left side, like, I am so impressed with these players. It was a really fun match to watch. And I understand that, like, Germany's not a top team, but they're in the final 8, so they're like no slouch at all.
I've actually been really impressed with Germany as a whole over this VNL.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Germany, I wouldn't say that, like, when you think of a star player, you aren't naming any Germans.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But they're consistent. They're steady for the most part. They know how to play. They're able to take the talent they have, make it cohesive, and make it work. And yeah, I just found that match to be so interesting and engaging. That was my pick.
I also enjoyed watching that match. I thought number 9, Alsmeyer for Germany, had a fantastic week.
Yeah,
like
she played really well.
Germany had to win matches this week to make the final 8. And I thought she was very consistent. I thought she scored well for them. I was impressed by her play, specifically on that team. They're a good team. They're disciplined. They're well-oiled. They're German. I mean, but she specifically elevated, in my opinion.
What are the teams that you thought played very well and sort of elevated for the end, in week 3, and which teams did not look so hot?
This is a really interesting question. I'm going to leave out the obvious ones. Like the teams that are at the top of the...
Oh, I thought you meant for the ones who didn't look so hot. I was like, no, tell me.
I mean, I thought Serbia elevated when they needed to. I thought that France actually played pretty well. I was impressed with them. They have a couple pieces. They need a little bit more on their team to compete with the really good teams, but I thought that they played well again. I thought Czech battled. They lost a match they shouldn't have, which took them out of the running.
That match they lost to Netherlands was real bad for them. That was a key one.
Yeah, but they came out and they played Turkey. You have to factor in that this was their first VNL. They stayed. They arrived. They have some good young pieces. That right side is very good. They were great. I was disappointed with...
I would add, I don't think we can avoid adding the USA to that list. Like, they were on the bubble. I know we have very specific feelings about them, but they were on the bubble and they managed to win 3 out of 4, albeit against not the strongest competition, but they did what they needed to do to make it into the final 8. Like, they won 3 of 4.
Yep, fair enough. We'll talk about them specifically later, but they did what they needed to do to get in. You have to give the players credit for that for sure.
Yeah, so Serbia, France, USA. I think those are solid picks for teams that elevated.
I thought from a disappointing standpoint, I didn't think Turkey had a good week. I didn't think Canada had a good week. You don't really have any expectations for Korea, I would say.
I don't think they were disappointing, though. Like, they fought. They pushed Bulgaria to 5. Like, yeah. When VNL started, we thought that they wouldn't win a match.
They beat Canada.
And they got, like, they weren't on a disappointing list to me. For me, the disappointing teams were Canada and Turkey.
I thought Netherlands was going to put on a better showing at home.
They had a tough
pool.
Group. I mean, 2 of their matches were Czech and Serbia, which
I figured they would win those matches at home.
Fair. Yeah, Turkey going 1-3. They had no business losing to Czech. They had no business losing to Serbia. I'm sorry.
No. Even with Boskovic, no.
For me, Boskovic was not playing at the level that we've known her to play at. She, I know, is coming off of an injury, but She's in Serbia's successful years, or most successful years, she has had pieces around her that have been able to take some of the load. And now that you're seeing that diminish quite a bit, she hasn't elevated the way that I expected her to.
And again, we don't know if they rushed her back.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, based on what I saw this week.
Yeah, fair. I will say I thought a couple of the players around her stepped up. I mean, they were not good for 2 weeks.
She took attention. I thought Ivanovic played way better this week than she did in the first two because Boskovic was there to take some of the load. Stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the question that I have for you, and I know that we have a lot of Canadian listeners and we got a couple questions about this, is, Canada is missing arguably 3 of their best pieces. And, so was Serbia. They needed their pieces to come back to win. You see it. It's definitely a thing. But what are your thoughts about their performance and about them as a team, given that fact?
Okay, I'll preface this by saying I am aware that I am probably hardest on Canada and USA. I know that. It's probably not going to change, so I'm just telling you I'm aware. The thing for me, and the thing that drives me nuts watching this Canadian team, is how they, don't know how to finish sets. Like, you're rolling, you're playing really well, and then all of a sudden it matters, and you make a ton of errors, you do stupid things, and then you swing neutral, you miss a serve 20 meters out of bounds. Like, for me, that's not okay. So it's just like the way that they're losing. They're giving teams matches. They're not being aggressive when it matters. Their most aggressive, most fearless player is a 19-year-old who has no experience, which, okay, that comes with being 19. I get it. But, like, that can't be the case. You know what I mean? And I just feel like they don't have any leadership on the court, especially from the players who you would expect it from, the ones who've been there. Yeah, I think there's a lot of panic, poor decision making. I think a lot of it's mental, but I was very frustrated watching them this week.
There's no way that losing that many 5-setters is a coincidence. There's no way that all of the teams that you played and went to 5 over the course of 3 weeks, it's coincidental that you didn't win any of them. So I agree with you.
Well, you're giving up huge leads at the end of sets.
Yeah.
You're giving up 5 match points
to the US.
7 set points to Thailand. Like, what's changing from one point to the next? What's the difference?
And the other thing that I noticed is that their pieces don't have good games together. Like, Johnson had 2 very good games in this round, but there was nothing else happening around her.
Her every ball.
Yeah, there's no offensive flow. You just give the hot hand the ball. You have, you're missing pieces on the right side who can score. Like, Guzin was playing on the right side because Smrek couldn't score, and she needs to be on the left side. Yeah, they just couldn't get an offense going. And sometimes Maglio is very good in the middle, and then she'll just disappear for stretches of time or miss every serve. Like, there was never a cohesive team performance. And the crazy thing is they had 24 blocks against the US. Like, they were prepared to play them, and defensively they were good, but they could not score. And like you said, it's a tentative mindset when there are chances to win, and that doesn't bode well. Somebody needs to want to score, and you can't just say, oh, Alexa will do it or Van Rijk will do it when they get hit. That's not how you build a winning program. That mentality was very telling, missing those players, in my opinion, and it needs to change. And quite frankly, Guzin, in my opinion, was the only one who embodied what needed to happen, and I thought she was good. And I thought Thakboom was good until she got...
Unfortunately got injured, and I'm assuming she got concussed because, dang, she took that in the face hard.
But with those 2 young players, you need to build that mentality around the program, not wear it out of them.
But the thing for me is, like, you guys score points and you're just kind of like, let's go. Like, these other teams are, like, bleeding volleyball. You know what I mean? They're like, let's do this. We're gonna, like, the emotion, you can tell how bad they want it. And Canada is just a bunch of flatliners that are like, oh, nice play. Like, the most emotion that you get on your team should not be your coach. And he toned his emotion down like 20 notches this week.
Not when the play's going on, because you can still see his face, but after the play ends, he's smiling.
But he still is more emotional
Yes,
than everybody
totally.
else on the team. Like,
Totally.
he can't be the one that cares the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've noticed emotion individually for players who are playing well, not for
Which
the
is
team.
also
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Canada brings to Worlds, who shows up. And, you know, they definitely got better defensively, I thought, as the tournament went on. Like, you could see Guidetti's game plans and hand molding the team that way. It'll be interesting to see how far they come, what they can accomplish, what looks different come Worlds for them.
But, like, and again, it's a mindset. At this level, you can't expect teams to give you matches. You need to take them, and Canada doesn't take matches. They wait and hope that other teams give it to them.
And it
So,
didn't work out for them.
No. As we said earlier, the final 8 is set. So we are going to go through our predictions of how this is going to play out, okay? So the quarterfinal matchups are going to be Italy versus USA, Brazil versus Germany, Japan versus Turkey, and Poland versus China. So Italy versus USA. I think Italy's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a question. The odds are like 100% to 0, I think.
Adam says that, and then the opposite is going to happen. It really stresses me out when he is so sure, but...
I mean, come on. They're a well-oiled machine. They're super physical. Their middles are outstanding. There's no comparison.
Well, and it's clear that the USA was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'm
mean-
sorry, if you beat China, you have the opportunity to jump into 7th, avoid Italy. Granted, Brazil is also a very difficult match, but avoid Italy. And you play an entire roster who hasn't sniffed the court in week 3, or maybe at all.
Yeah, I don't think Fairbanks set.
Taylor Mims came in. I'm like, hello, what?
Yeah,
I'm
it's...
like, you're clearly just happy to be there.
I don't think that they're prepared to win. I don't think they'll be ready to make adjustments. It's just, in watching the U.S. this week, their physicality won over teams that were bottom to middle of the road teams. Well, they didn't beat China, but...
They played 2 out of the 3 bottom VNL teams this week.
Correct. And went 5 with Canada. And yeah, so, you know, watching them, the only thing, in my opinion, that they're doing right now that is world class is their pipe over top of the middle.
They do run that
It's
very well.
fantastic.
Excellent.
And, you know, I will give them credit. Their game plans to start matches were better than they had been in week 1 and week 2. However, you were playing teams with obvious weaknesses, so the game plans were easier to put together, and there were no in-game adjustments. Like, that was a huge issue in the China match,
Like,
in my
you start
opinion.
well, but then when a team makes an adjustment, you don't change back.
And to me, that's on the coaching staff, and we kind of make fun of, you know, their timeouts and whatever. And maybe they went in to VNL saying, hey, we're going to let you guys play. We're going to figure it out. We want to see what's going on. That may be the case. What happens at Worlds for them will be telling. So if you've decided as a coaching staff you're going to sit back and evaluate your players and kind of let them run the show and do all of that because you want to see the character, I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but I can understand where you're coming from. But when we get to Worlds is about winning. So are you able to flip that switch? Are you able to now execute high-level game plans, make adjustments in match, see what's happening and go from there? My instinct is no, but I'm willing to give them to Worlds to find out.
The way that they construct rosters just is makes no sense to me.
Well, it was fair play VNL week 3 at home.
No. There is no world where you should bring more than 2 opposites on your roster. They brought 4.
All right. Yeah.
You're a team whose passing is very up and down, questionable at best, and you're telling me you're going to bring 3 left sides, 3 people who can pass and attack. You're going to bring Madison Skinner, who I'm sorry at this point is an opposite, and 3 more opposites? If anything, you bring 2 opposites, you bring 4 left sides, because guess what? A left side could step in and play opposite. An opposite's not going to go start passing and playing 6 rotation serve receive. The way that they're constructing these rosters makes absolutely no sense, and I've got a very hot take for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's steaming. I think that Eric Sullivan has been messing around with fair play in all of these matches to save face. I think it is so easy to hide behind the excuse of, oh, well, we're just testing players out. We're just giving people experience, blah, blah, blah. I think he is saving face, and that's why he's doing it. Because there is absolutely no reason they shouldn't have pushed and started the team that had won every match to beat China to get a more favorable draw.
I thought that as well when I saw the roster against China, because they're going to play Italy now, and it's like, well, Italy's the best team in the world. That's why my comment about Worlds, you have no excuse. Worlds is a tournament about winning, and that's where
I think every tournament's a tournament about winning, but call me crazy.
No, I understand what you're saying, but the U.S. is in a unique situation. You can make a cohesive argument for looking at your players, letting them play, figuring out who you want your roster to be.
This isn't club volleyball. No. I don't care. Like this isn't the let's everybody play a game. Are we all happy? Are we feeling good? Are we having fun? No.
I understand what you're saying, but there is a long-term planning aspect to what they are doing, but you have to realize that 4 years is not as long as you think they are. And you need to start moving. You don't have the best athletes. You don't have the best volleyball players as of right now. There is a lot of work to do. You are an inexperienced coaching staff. A lot of things have to go right for them to find a roster that can compete. And so this was your mulligan. Show me.
Not for me.
Show me at Worlds.
Baby. Okay, so that matchup, we think Italy's going to win. Okay, perfect. Brazil versus Germany.
I mean, I think Brazil's going to win.
I'm taking Brazil. Brazil and Italy are the 2 deepest teams in the world.
Yeah. I think if Germany can win 1 set and get to 20 in the other sets, that is a spectacular outing for them. Even if they lose 3-0 and they can get to 20, I think you're happy with that.
Brazil's another plug-and-play team. Like I said, before Ana Cristina got injured, it was Ana Cristina, Gabi on the left side. Bergman was on the right side, which amazing. I kind of loved that. But then Ana Cristina gets injured. Oh, Bergman, come back to the left side. Rosa Maria go in. Tainara go in right side. Like, it's crazy.
It's silly.
Italy and Brazil, plug and play, they are totally fine. So even though I think Germany has been steady, I don't think they're going to match up with Brazil.
No, I don't think they have the consistent firepower that Brazil has.
Japan versus Turkey.
Oh, this is the one that I think has the most variability in it. Turkey is up and down. Japan makes you hit over and over and over again. That's where you think Turkey gets frustrated and makes mistakes.
I think Japan is going to serve Kara Kurt off the court. That's honestly, she has improved in her passing. But when they are coming at you with those serves, okay? And if she gets frustrated, it's going to be downhill. I think they're going to massacre her on serve receive.
Now, the only thing is that the other left sides for Turkey can still score against Japan because they're not quite as physical. So I can see a world where Kara Kurt gets subbed out and whoever, they seem to have like a rotating options of who comes in on the left side. That doesn't necessarily mean to me that Turkey is going to lose in this case, given Japan.
My pick is Japan. Japan is so consistent. They bring incredible service pressure. Their defensive game is on point. Obviously they need to receive well so they can run their speed of offense against the mismatch height block for sure, but they've been playing against mismatch height blocks this whole time. I think Japan's strengths overcome Turkey's weaknesses.
My instinct in this was that Turkey was going to win.
Okay. The last one, Poland versus China.
This is another toss. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. I think this is going to be the best game.
It is in Poland too.
It is in Poland. China is very good, but they are young. Poland at home. I think this is a 5-setter. I think this is overtime, but I give the edge to Poland.
Oh, both of these teams are really good.
This is going to be the match that I watch with my popcorn, no distraction. I think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, this one's a tough one for me to come up with. I've been liking China so much. I really have. Oh, their outside, their one middle with the longer hair are cold. In the best way possible, okay? Oh my gosh, you're right. And playing in Poland.
Poland loves playing in Poland.
I'll play devil's advocate. I'll say China. Okay. So based on that, I mean, to be completely honest, I think it's going to be an Italy-Brazil final.
I do as well, and I think Italy's going to take it. I think Italy's going to win.
My prediction going into this whole thing was that Italy's going to win. My prediction, Italy-Brazil final, because we were disagreeing on the quarterfinals, like this could go forever. So, and then, I think Italy's going to win it all.
I think they're just too good right now.
They're
playing
middle.
too
Sarah
well.
Farr, I'm obsessed with her.
Well, and Denise is no slouch.
Denise's no slouch either. And like your 1-2 punch with Egonuin and Tropova, again, like it does either one. Like
they have so many good left sides.
Dajanaro runs the show in the backcourt. She's unbelievable. Her setting, give me a break.
Yeah, there's just no holes in that roster.
And I love Brazil too. Don't
Absolutely.
Get me wrong, but I think Italy. My pick is Italy.
I think Italy's playing just a little bit more clean and consistent than Brazil is right now.
You heard it here first. That's what we think is going to happen. VNL, we're clearly very passionate about a couple of these matchups, but we do agree on our semifinal and final. So let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your thoughts for these matchups. We would love to hear it. And I'm curious if any of our predictions line up with yours. It is time for listener questions. So, and I'm going to pronounce these names wrong. I'm so sorry, but I'll try my best. What are your thoughts on Gizem versus Simge for Turkey? So, for context, these are the liberos. The two libero options we have seen kind of switching out for Turkey. Gizem is the blonde-haired one. She plays for Vakifbank. And Simge is the brunette. She plays club for Izazibashi.
There's one thing that makes this a difficult question to answer, is that neither of them ever get served because their left sides aren't great passers.
They're both very good.
So if I look at this defensively, I think Gizem has the edge. Again, we're splitting hairs here. They're both good, but to me, Gizem is just a little bit ahead of the play in terms of her positioning and her control on what she's doing defensively. She takes a little bit more court and a little bit more initiative, I think. I watched her in the Italy match, and some of the digs she made, she controls the ones that are at her very well, and her positioning is very good, but then her one-touch stabs and her ability to cover, to me defensively, and that's kind of what I'm looking at for the Turkey libero, I give her a slight edge.
She was my pick too. But don't get me wrong, they're both very good.
Yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs here.
Question 2. I like this question a lot, actually. If Japan is known for being good at serving and defense/passing and running a faster offense, those are things that you have to spend more time practicing, you would think, to compensate for being small. What are things that a more physical team would have to spend more time practicing? Or are they just lucky because they're bigger?
Oh, this is a great question. And I actually think the prime examples of this are Turkey and the USA. So when you're a little bit bigger, you're further off the ground, which means you have a little bit less time and you're playing the ball a little bit higher in general. And so for me, that means that your positioning has to be that much better, both on passing and on defense. So if you watch, smaller liberos, they can kind of make up for being in the wrong defensive positioning by being a little quicker, by sprawling out. They're closer to the ground, they're closer to the floor. And so you watch bigger athletes, and I think Kurt is a good example of this. When the ball is close to her, she can dig it, but she's very often out of position, in my opinion. And you look at Sarah Franklin, reads the game pretty well. She's in decent position, so she can dig balls, but she's not mobile if she's out of position. So you need to work on that defensive lineup around the block, or your responsibility of being so tight and disciplined on there, because there's no margin for error when you're bigger than the normal defensive players.
I have 2 answers now after hearing Adam's answer. My answer 1, which will kind of be in line with his, is I think if you're bigger, you need to work on your serving and blocking, because you want to hammer your serves to bring your block into play. If you're not a good defensive team, you want your block to take most of the load defensively, and that starts with serving really well to allow your block to get set up early. My other answer before I heard Adam's answer was more physical teams need to work on these things too. I think if they work on them, it complements their physicality very well. Because you're not always going to be able to go and hit a great angle around the block. You're not always going to be able to go and swing out of system all match deep corners. So I think big teams or physical teams need to work on these same things too, but more as a complement and to add to their toolkit as opposed to relying on it so much. Question 3. What are your thoughts on the rotation rule with players being able to move before the serve?
I mean, I think it just makes sense. What difference does it make if you start on the left and have to walk over?
Oh, I'm a purist. I love knowing exactly where everybody is. There are a few matches you're who was subbed out? And I looked at the front row to see where they were, and they were all lined up already, and I was I can't even tell you what rotation they're in right now.
Yeah, and that is the only downside, is for the viewer not knowing kind of where you are, looking at the court when the serve comes. But from a play standpoint, from a being on the court standpoint, I'm indifferent.
What about running on the toss now instead of the contact when you're in serve receive?
Yeah, I think running on the contact makes the serve able to be a little more effective, because you can ruin attack lines, you can take middles out. So I think it takes away some of the efficacy of some of the really good float servers or short servers.
Yeah, I don't like it so much because it allows people to hide their weaknesses so much easier. You barely see right sides having to hit on the left anymore.
Yeah.
Because they can just take off on the toss. When you used to have to take off on the contact, it was so rushed that you just had to stay on the left. And
so that one I disagree with. But the changing on your own side, I don't think there's any advantage gained or lost there. So it doesn't matter to me.
Question 4. I'm confused as to why Olivia Babcock is referred to as more physical than Logan Lidnicki. both by you and on past episodes and by commentators during the matches. In watching both of them, they honestly seem pretty even to me. So in general, what makes a player more physical than another, and why is Olivia Babcock considered more physical than Lednicki?
Well, that's a good question. So I think there's two things. One is, for me, your decision making, which I know is not a physical thing, but how you use your either height or your jump ability or your size to your advantage. To me, Olivia Babcock is more aggressive when she attacks the ball. She will default to being more terminal, like going for the kill. And when I watch Lednicki play, sometimes she's unsure to me what she wants to do, or she'll play it a little bit more safe. And again, I know that's not necessarily a physical trait, but on the right side specifically, where your job is to score points, how you hit the ball is part of how you're perceived. And the other one I would say is the pace of how you hit. Like if you listen to Babcock hit versus Lednicki, there's more pace on her swing, Babcock's. It's heavier. So those would be my opinions on that.
I think my definition's slightly different.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay. When I think of physical athletes or physicality, I think of how high you contact the ball. I think of the angles that you're able to hit. If you're a blocker, I think of how much in the opponent's face you get, how high you jump. Like, I think Olivia Babcock, she gets off the ground better than Lednicki. She contacts the ball at a much higher point than Lednicki. She goes for steeper angles than Lednicki does, all of which I consider, or I think, make a player quote unquote physical. Blockers that you see completely penetrate the net into the hitter's face, that is a mark of physicality for me. So those are kind of what I think of.
All right, let me ask you the last question because I can't answer this one.
Yes, you can.
Are you playing in the Nebraska alumni match?
That is a hard no for a couple reasons. First of all, it's been a minute since I've played indoor. But I think more critical is that at that time I'll just be about giving birth because I am very pregnant. So nobody needs to see that, and there's no way I'm fitting into a volleyball jersey or moving or jumping anywhere. So no, I will not.
Could be the libero.
I'm shaped like the ball, okay? I will be the ball. So no, I'm not. As fun as that would be, it's just not in the cards.
We are heading into week 3 for the men's VNL competition. Matches are being played in Gdansk, Poland, Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Chiba, Japan.
He's looking at me. If it sounds like a question, it's because it is.
Sarah loves to do this to me. I'm not the best with pronunciation, so she just teased these up for me to make a fool of myself. So we're going to Poland, Slovenia, and Japan next week, everybody. Now, I know normally we've done breakdowns about who's going to be where and the top 8 and all of that. The reality of it is the men's is still a free-for-all. There are so many teams who could make it. There's so many permutations depending on what happens. It's still wide open. And so instead of running down all the possibilities and laying it all out there.
No, you did, though.
We did.
Although we did forget that China was hosting.
Yeah, so there's...
So forget.
If we look at the rundown for men's, the top team, which is Brazil, has 7 wins. The 13th team in the USA has 4 wins, along with 5 other teams. So, I mean...
Try to get 7 out of that number.
Yeah.
Okay? We're getting 7 out of the top, 14, 13, and then China's
13.
adding in? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's do or die. You have to win your matches. Every game is going to count. Pretty much the only safe teams, Brazil is in, Poland is in, Italy is in, assuming they each win 2 matches. But after that, it's, you have to believe that France is gonna have a good showing. But nothing is guaranteed. It's gonna be win and you're in. Week 3, win and you're in on the men's side. Should be good volleyball. That being said, there are some matches that I think are going to be worthwhile watching. So Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern is Cuba versus Bulgaria. Cuba's always a ton of fun to watch. So that
both
match,
of those teams are in the 4-win bubble.
Correct.
I think.
Correct. Now, we don't know who we're going to see setting for Bulgaria, which I think plays a big factor in whether they make it or not. So we'll see. Hopefully he's all right. And then looking forward after Wednesday, Friday at 6:20 a.m. Eastern. That's an early one. But Brazil versus Japan is going to be a fantastic match. And finally, Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we have France versus Poland. So lots of good matches. You could have it on all day and just watch and you'll be thoroughly entertained. But we will see you next week and we'll break down who qualified, who played well, who threw away their chances, but it's going to be a great episode.
That concludes this week's episode of Volley Talk. There's always something shaking in the volleyball world, and we hope you enjoyed this little fix. Be sure to follow the show so you don't miss any updates, and we'd be so grateful if you'd leave us a 5-star review. You can also find us on Instagram at volleytalk_podcast. If you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss, be sure to let us know by reaching out to us on Instagram or at info@sarahpavin.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week.